No problem. No problem, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
I've started now. I've started recording.
Good.
Okay, Madam Blessing is here now also. That means there's no need for me to admit.
Yes, please. The room is open.
Okay, because before normally we will normally see the request on the screen, but I didn't see any request.
Yes, it's the setting. It's the setting. The setting shows that it's open, so anyone can just come in.
Okay. Thank you, ma. So over to you, Mrs. Toyin. I've already started recording.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Aderonke. Amazing evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I trust that we had an amazing week. So if you're ready and you are here, okay, let me see the emojis popping. That's to let us know that indeed we are not just clicking in, but that we are actively present. Let the emoji come in, please. Let the emoji roll in. Our speaker will join us in a few minutes. So let the emojis keep rolling in. How has our week been? If you can share with me how your week went, I would love that. And how do you intend to spend tomorrow? Tomorrow is International Women's Day. So what do you think? How do you intend to spend it? And this year's own is quite interesting. We're looking at give to gain. I'm so sure we all are aware that women will keep giving. But this year is emphasizing that not just to give, but we also have to gain. And that's just the truth. We are valuable. So it's time we begin to reposition ourselves, not just for us to keep giving, but for us to also gain. Okay, so if you'd like to share what you're looking forward to tomorrow with me, I'll be happy to hear. Or if you want to share how your week went, I'll also be excited to listen while we await our speaker. He's actually finding it not so to join, but I think it should come in anytime from now. Okay, so who would like to unmute? I can see NB didn't say if I don't know if I got that right. If you'd like to just share how your week went or how you're going to spend tomorrow being International Women's Day. Okay, Mr. Adebayo is finally here. Okay, good evening, Mr. Adebayo. Good evening, Mr. Adebayo.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, very well. How are you doing today? Thank you so very much for agreeing to do this with us. We're so grateful. We had issues with our link earlier, so we just got it resolved and we've shared another one on the platform. So of course, we'll be seeing more people join us. But like you rightly said, you have another webinar by 7, so we'll make sure that we don't waste your time while also trying to get a lot of value from you. Our meeting is always recorded and also uploaded on our YouTube page. So I want us to welcome Mr. Adebayo with our favorite emoji. Let Mr. Adebayo know that indeed we are ready for him. So if you know we're super ready for Mr. Adebayo, let those emojis keep coming in, even as we welcome Mr. Adebayo to our midst. Mr. Adebayo is a seasoned learning thinking expert. That's what I refer him to be. And is someone who has worked with so many schools that I've even lost count of, even my school inclusive. And you know, each time he's done with us, even in the school, there's always this mind shift. Okay, and then we always want to go back to the drawing board and see what exactly we're doing right and what we're not doing right. And then we quickly go back to the drawing board and begin to change. Today in our school, it is not the regular anymore, courtesy of Mr. Adebayo. We are always looking for evidence of learning. Okay, so that's why I'm super excited that he agreed to join us here. I tell you, it's just a short discussion with him, but I know that at the end of this discussion, trust me, if you really use whatever he says, your classroom will be transformed. But before I let him take over, I would like to ask, as educators in our various classes, imagine a student from the 1950s walk into your class today. Would that child spot any difference? A child from the 1950s walk into your classroom today. Do you think that child will spot any difference? I'd like to get a response, even if it's just from one person. Who would like to go? Ms. Blessing? NAB, who else would like to go? Anyone would like to take that question before Mr. Adebayo comes in?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. It's good to hear you and it's good that you joined. Please go ahead and respond,
Thank
please.
you.
Yeah.
Well, basically, the child will see the interactive whiteboard
Okay. Okay.
and would definitely
Okay.
wonder how
All
it
right. Thank
is
you for
used.
that response. So,
Mhm.
good. Okay. 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 That's good. That's an amazing response. Okay. So Mr. Nepi says the child is going to see an interactive whiteboard, and of course, the child is going to wonder. That's to tell us that technology has also helped us and is still helping us. At this point, without wasting time, I would like to welcome Mr. Adebayo Alomaja to come in and help us with the rethinking of how we deliver education. Welcome, Mr. Adebayo. You have the floor now.
All right. Okay, so just a moment. All right. So I'm going to share my screen in a moment and just try to get through it. Let's see. I'm almost there. Just a minute more. Okay, all right. So I'm going to share my screen now. Please confirm what you can see.
All right. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see?
It's
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I've been asked to briefly. It's a great pleasure to be here, Adebayo Alomaja, only called by GPT. And maybe I get to say a few things about BioGPT before I leave tonight. But I'm really excited to be here. I'm an education futurist, so every time I talk about education, I'm always talking about education from the place of where it was, where it is from a global standpoint, from a global spectrum of possibilities, and where it's headed. Those are the kind of things you hear from me. If you follow my post on LinkedIn, things are specifically at this year, we're talking about the school shift. So every year we have a theme for like what we believe the education sector needs to focus on, the education sector needs to pay attention to. And this year specifically, we are talking about the school shift. And why we chose to talk about the school shift, we believe that there should really be a serious shift in the school environment, is because 2025, January 2025, there was an official declaration by the World Economic Forum that we are now in the intelligent age. I mean, from time to time, these declarations happen, right? Fourth Industrial Revolution. What we've been very familiar with is the Fourth Industrial Revolution. You know, we talk about the 21st century. But what is the latest now is that we are in the intelligent age. So early 2025, there was that official declaration. However, before that time, there's been a build up, right? There's been a build up, to the official announcement, right? So this has been ongoing for the space of 3 to 5 years, as it were, right? So but from last year, that announcement means a lot, right? Because from that time, a lot of things started changing globally, and Nigeria is not left behind, right? Can you imagine that CAC, right, the company that does this Nigeria that does this? Let me quickly bring it back up. That does this region of company. We were saying, oh, right now they can do like about 10,000. They can process like about 10,000 companies in one day because they are now using AI. That's happening in Nigeria. That's just a reflection of that. But on the global scale, on the global level, it's very massive. It means a lot. It means there's a serious shift going on there as regards how we work, as regards how we think, as regards learning, as regards education, right? So many areas are connected. There's a lot of restructuring, there's a lot of reshuffling that is happening. And in the education space, we need to understand this thing. We need to understand what is going on. The last time we had this kind of experience was in the late 90s when the internet was arriving, right? When the internet was arriving in the late 90s, right? Again, it was like a wonder, right? That people would see, you see images being uploaded, on a file, or it was like a wonder, right? I wish I have some videos to show that could just show what it really looked like then. But the same thing that is happening right now is something that happened right then, all right? And it's very, very important that we rightly interpret what that means, right? Especially in the education, and more so because the education sector is responsible for helping people to ease into these transitions, right? So this is a transition period. We call it a season of creative destruction. So permit me if I use some vocabularies and stuff and things like that, right? I need to just bring you into my world, right? So I might bore you for a moment, but I need to just let you understand what's going on, right? So this is a season of creative destruction. A lot of things are changing, right? Like I said, just like we had it in the late 90s, the same thing is happening right now. And in the education space, because we are responsible in the education sector for helping people understand what is going on, for helping them enter into this new society, into this new era seamlessly, then we need to understand what's going on and how that impacts teaching and learning, right? Is it fine for kids in the classroom today, right, to still be able to stand and recite things? Is that really important today, right? Because of the kind of era that we're in, right? Well, as a matter of fact, that is no longer important. Let me just say this, right? And that's because we are now with intelligence, right? And what does that even mean? And that is why I've just decided to talk, just link it to this topic you see on the screen. Um, people market fit and the theory of backward design, right? Because in the industries, right, there's what we call product market fit. It's a phenomenon whereby, the product, right, suddenly becomes accepted. There's an organic demand for it. There are products today that even if they don't do ads, people are going to be buying them and using them every day, right? For such kind of product, there's like an organic need for them. Now let's tweak it. People market fit, right? This means we want to raise people. People market fit is a phenomenon whereby, oh sorry, let me just get into the slides, right? Okay. Yeah, I hope you can see the slide of the screen.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
So they're asking this guy, I see you did well in school, but what reward skills do you have? And the guy said, test. I can take tests. He's just been sincere, right? You can take tests, and that's fine. Anyways, so we have a lot of, so we education needs to take a particular direction, right? I'm sure you can relate with what you see on the screen right now. So people market fits, here. So essentially, it indicates that the product is effectively addressing weakness in a satisfying and distinctive manner that cannot be easily replicated. So when we say people market fit, we are saying that we want to nurture, raise a generation of young people, right, who can easily enter into the market, which has now changed because we are now in the intelligence age, right? So understanding these changes is very critical, right? And so I'll just take you on the journey briefly, just so you can have an idea, right, of what the market looks like, of what the world looks like today, and what education must become because of these changes. Because it's really very important. We cannot educate, we cannot prepare a generation for a world we do not understand, right? 2025 significantly marked the beginning of a new, it's like the whole world, there was like they press a reset button. That also happened in 2025. So if you're not aware, you need to be aware, right? And you need to start asking yourself, right, whether you're a school leader, right, is your business actually serving the new society? Is your business serving the new market? The funny thing is that a lot of people are not aware, right? And so what is going to happen is that those that understand this early enough and begin to work, run with it, right? They are going to be the ones that will lead, right? They will be the ones to lead in the next, by the time we enter the next decade, they will be the ones that will lead. Those that catch, get the memo on time and start running with it, right? You start seeing them, they are looking different in terms of how they are stepping forward, their deliveries and stuff like that, right? So are you teaching, are you engaged? In fact, that word teaching, there's a problem there, right? Because in the intelligence age, right, how to teach is not to teach. I'll get it. I hope, um, you know, I hope I'm able to really get it. So let's look at what the market looks like, right? So by 2030, an estimated 92 million jobs could be displaced by AI, although 170 million euros are expected to emerge. This is one of the data from the Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum. You know, and so what you see here is you see two different realities here. There is 92 million jobs that AI will take over, and there is 170 million euros that will emerge. So there are two realities here, and I can tell you for a fact that every child in your classroom today is going to be on one side of this reality. Every child in your classroom today will either be trying to grapple with jobs that AI will displace, or they are creating something new. It depends on the kind of foundation you lay for them right now. There's a way a child can be trained and nurtured that the child will not be comfortable with seeing a problem around. There's something we need to do in Nigeria, you know, and there's an education that we experience that somehow is still in us. We need to get rid of that education, right? There's an education a child will experience that the child will not be comfortable with problems around, right? And that education is that kind of education that empowers the child to become a creator, to become a problem solver. I'm not talking about what we mostly do in schools and classrooms today, because what we do in our classroom today is not really problem solving, it's paperwork, right? Because if you want to relate it with what happens in other industries, right, problem solving is quite different. It's not convergent, it's not linear, it's not a routine, it's not predictable, it's not predefined. That's not problem solving, right? It's rather divergent, right? Analytical, requires a lot of creative effort, right? You know, and deep, right? Why is it that every time we give homework, it's something the child has to submit the next day, right? That's not what problem solving looks like in the real world. It doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that, right? When we are solving real problems in other sectors, we take time. We take time because it's going to require a lot of collaboration. You have to meet with people, discuss with stakeholders. You have to do some more research. You have to. The goal when we are solving a problem in the real world is not to get an answer. No, no, no. That's not the goal, because by the time we are done, what we have even gotten as what we want to present, we will still keep on iterating on that, right? We still keep on iterating on that, and it just keep going that way, right? We are going somewhere. Every child in your classroom will be on one side of these realities. Are you, what kind of training are you giving to your kids right now? And what side of this reality will they be on, right? I have a lot of data I would have loved to share, but there's no time yet. But yes, how it is playing out, right? All these are numbers about layoffs, numbers around layoffs, right? You see, in Nigeria, we usually buy time. When we see things like this, they say, it's not in Nigeria, it's not happening to us. We are fine, we are good, just like COVID, right? See, AI is a global phenomenon, right? They call it a general purpose technology, right? What electricity is what AI is in this era, right? AI is what is powering this new society that we have entered into, right? Is what is powering this new society. That's why I quickly gave you a Nigerian example, so that it won't look like it's happening. Here in Nigeria is becoming very strong, and you should expect more and more and more. And so that's the kind of society you are praying. It's not about today, it's about 2030, it's about 2040, It's about the society that the kids we have in our schools today are going to live in. That's the challenge. The challenge is that, are we giving them the strength, the capacity to be able to withstand the challenges that they will face in the society that they will be living in, right? We need to accept the fact that this the WAEC, the JAM, the IGCSE, the GCSE, I see all these things, right? They are no longer sufficient as the right checkpoints on how ready these kids are ready to meet the society, right? Because it has changed. It has changed. If you follow this news, if you follow these platforms, you have an idea of what I'm talking about, right? The world has officially changed. We are now in a new era. The rule of the game has changed. The rule of engagement has changed, right? If you go by the law of demand and supply, what this new society is asking for, is demanding for, is now different, very different, right? All of this are about, this is what AI is doing right now, right? And that's what is happening. So what humans are required to do has changed. What humans are required to do has changed. It has changed, right? AI is going after entry-level jobs. If you understand what that means, AI is going after entry-level jobs, right? And it continues to do that strongly and powerfully, right? Strongly and powerfully, right? So the expectation from humans, right, in the workplace is now changing. It's quite different and it's quite advanced, right? And so we want to remember the two realities I pictured to you from that data, right? We want to nurture young people, right, who are going to be on the creating side, who will not be stranded, and who can add value to society, right? There's this data too as well. About 11 to 12 million young Africans enter the market annually, but only 3 to 4 million formal jobs are created. This for Africa generally. There's a specific data for Nigeria in this regard, right? And you are hearing things like we release about 3 to 4 million graduates annually, and we need to create about 4.5 million jobs, and that's not happening, right? So right now, there's a dire and an urgent need for creators, right? People that are stepping forward to create opportunities. Right now, Nigeria does not need another generation of employees. Nigeria is looking for employers right now, right? Because the job market is very crazy, right? The data is there, very clear, right? And so right now, if you are thinking about how we're delivering education, right, and looking at the bigger purpose, which is national impact, right, which is moving the nation forward, we are asking ourselves, right, are we laying the right foundation, right, for the next generation of innovators, problem solvers in Nigeria, right? And we can quickly answer that by checking our learning outcomes. What's our priority when it comes to learning outcomes? Right? It starts from primary school. What's our priority when it comes to learning outcomes, right? We have the Bloom's taxonomy that we are familiar with, right? There's the lower order thinking region, there's the higher order thinking region. Now, what's AI? And please take notes. I showed you the stats. You saw those things that's happening, the jobs, layoffs, and all of that. What AI is saying to us in the education sector, and if that's the only thing I will say, and I end this session, I think I've done my job. What AI is saying to us in the education space is that we need to move away now. We have been saying it, but right now it has become very serious. We need to move away on the Bloom's taxonomy ladder from level 1 to 3. And right now, the new 1 to 3 is now 4, 5, 6. That is analyze, evaluate, and create. Right? That used to be the 4, 5, 6 in the ladder. But that 4, 5, 6 is now the new 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So that 4, 5, 6 is now the new 1 to 3. Right? So that's where learning begins now. Right? You see, 1, 2, 3 knowledge, remember, apply. That's gone. That's gone. That's for the information era. That's gone. Let's forget about that. Right? Where education starts today now is 4, 5, 6. Analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Right? Learning is not happening if your learners are not creating. And by the way, that's because you understand the pressing need of the hour and the kind of learners that you want to nurture and raise. Because of this new society, right? This is just a picture of what the society looks like. So see, in 2028, it took 11 years Spotify to reach 100 million users. And you see ChatGPT in 2022, it took them just 2 months. What took this company 11 years? You see this company is delivering in 2 months. Those are 2 different eras in one graph. 2 different eras, right? The society that your learners are entering into, right, is very complex. It's very complex. It's very complex. It's very complex. It's very, very, very complex. It's very, very complex, right? And that is why we have to, In the intelligent age, what is the intelligent age about? The intelligent age is an era where humans and machines have to officially work together, right? So it's now official that humans and machines have to work together. Now, what is the machines doing and what are humans doing, right? This understanding will help us to lay the right foundation in the education space, right? Because you so because when what is happening now that kids are saying, the first I saw a child in the evening, the child was doing the assignment and was using ChatGPT. I was looking at her like this. In my mind, I'm like, this teacher, now the teacher would think that they're giving her assignments, you know, and the child is just using ChatGPT to just answer and copying. And you see, if we don't change the system, if we don't change what we call education, right, the alpha generation, right, they will begin to, they will begin to, they will begin to, what's the right word? The perception, right? The perception, you will begin to lose value in their sight, right? You begin to lose respect in their sight, right? The whole system becomes something that they are just washing down. They're like, this is not really valuable anymore, right? So if we don't change how we deliver education, that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a perception problem, right? You begin to see it and say, what is going on? Do you really know these things are talking about? See, this is are taking. So if we don't delete 1, 2, 3 and focus, because in the 4, 5, 6 zone, yes, ChatGPT cannot easily play that role, right? And that is where we are also developing and nurturing the analytical thinking, the creative thinking, and the complex problem solving skills that the world is asking for today from humans, right? That's where the superpower is for us as humans, right? It's in our analytical thinking. All these things I'm saying, they are purely based on research and data. I'm not just sharing an opinion. I'm not. The analytical thinking, the creative thinking, and the complex problem solving. These are the skills that humans are bringing to the table that makes us collaborators with the machines, right? It's not humans versus machines. It's a collaboration. That's intelligent, right? An era where humans and machines are working together, right? It's a collaboration between humans and machines. But there's a question around what are the machines doing and what are humans doing, right? And if you think about what the machines are doing right now, what the machines are doing right now is so powerful, right? Is so powerful, and they continue to grow, right? There's something called machine learning. They continue to grow in that capacity, right? And that's why we need to now go deeper, right, into the cognitive realm, right? Let me see what I have here. I want to stop. Mr. Tony, I want to stop by 6:45 so that I can probably take questions and things.
Where you think the world stands in 2029.
Okay.
So either
Well,
yes or no,
discussion-
2029, I can have a Teams meeting with an AI avatar that is indistinguishable from a real person.
No.
12-year-olds with AI will outperform today's professional programmers.
Yes.
All right.
All right. So maybe I'll just keep it on this screen. So I'm talking about the intelligent age. I'm talking about what so this 16-year-old boy builds an AI startup. That there's market entrance for teenagers. And the bottom line here is just the fact that 4, 5, 6 has to become our 1, 2, 3. Right now, what machines are doing, right? Let's go deep into the cognitive realm, because most of the time we pay attention to learning outcomes and we ignore the cognitive domain, right, where this whole thing happens, right? So AI is strongly playing in the cognitive domain right now, and right now the value of cognitive work is near zero, right? If you are doing a job and your job requires that you think, AI can replace you, and that's strange. I bet you haven't heard that before. That's very strange, right? But you see, what layer of thinking? That's something I put in my latest LinkedIn post, and you can check it out. What layer of thinking is AI going to cut off, right? Any kind of thinking that is routine, that is predictable, right? That is routine, that is predictable, right? That is linear, right? That is predefined, right? AI is going to chop it off, right? So right now in our education system, we ask our learners questions and we expect them to provide answer from information that is already available. So they are not, there's no, they are not, if that is what education looks like, then it means that the whole learning experience, the whole thing is useless. That's what I mean right now. That the way I'm talking is the only way I can get you to understand how grievous this is, right? Because the machines have even gone above that. They have gone far above that, right? So when, and that's again, the bottom line is 4, 5, 6 is the new 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6 is the new 1, 2, 3. If you don't take anything from what I'm saying, that's the major message. 4, 5, 6 is the new 1, 2, 3. Right? So if education right now is that kids sit down because they're trying to learn something, and then whatever it is that they're doing is within a predefined a body of knowledge that already exists to a very large extent. Now we need structure, right, to get them into the learning frame. I agree. But you see, that's very foundational, right? But you see, that foundational effort is not sufficient. It's not, we need to move away from the foundational to the ultimate. It's not sufficient, right? So if the learning process is that they have to call back something that they have learned and it's from information that exists, I bet you the machine is going to wipe them off, right? They will struggle to thrive in this new society, right? We need to raise young people, right, who can analyze, right, information. That's the key right now. Young people that can analyze information, right? The information era has ended. It's ended in 2025, right? The information era, the internet era has ended. In the information era, that kind of education makes sense. But in this intelligence age, where intelligence is now abundant, right? The game has changed. The game has changed. It's about being able to analyze information, right? Being able to analyze information, right? Being able to judgment, being able to say this is what is true and this is what is wrong. This information, right, is accurate. It makes a lot of sense. Your learners are going through a report. They are reading an article and they are saying, this sounds accurate. I think we need to look at this differently, right? So there's a lot of things that needs to change, right? But 4, 5, 6 is the new 1, 2, 3, right? You want to find yourself in a place where you are discarding your textbooks, right? Yes, I said it. School owners don't like when I say this, right? But you know, one of the biggest problems we have is the textbook, right? So our textbooks, the future of Africa is not in our textbooks. Our textbooks are not inspirational to a large extent. They are doing the Lord's work. They are doing the ministry of the foundation is good, but right now the foundation is not sufficient, right? So beyond the textbook, we need to do what I call content augmentation. We need to bring in articles, podcasts, audio and video podcasts. We need to think about when you are taking any topic, right? Every topic and every subject has a connection with a need in the society. If I'm teaching mathematics and I want to teach fraction, I am looking for a resource, an article, a podcast, a video, a documentary, right, that is connected to that topic. And that will be part of my content for that class because I want my learners to analyze the content. I want them to analyze, I want to immerse them in the world of that content. That's the challenge with textbooks, right? Textbooks are disconnected. They don't disconnect our learners with today's world, let alone the world they will enter. So there has to be content augmentation, right? I'm an education futurist, right? And all I've said, this is what I do for a living, is to take you on a flight, take you far, and then just get you lost. I don't find your way again from there. Anywhere you go from there, right? But just to create this park and to just ensure that we are aligned largely in Nigeria and Africa as regards where the world is going and what the education must look like. And I'd like to just round up right now by saying that 4, 5, 6 has to be our new 1, 2, 3, right? Right from primary school, we need to have learners analyzing, right? Not just information from the textbook, right? But analyzing content that is augmented, that is not just textbook. We have to go beyond textbook, right? Those are old. We have to bring content, right? Look for the connection between the topic we're teaching, all right, and the real world and problems and realities. Right? Let that be the resource that your learners are interacting with. Resources from Bloom's, from Forbes, from Punch, from Arise, from entrepreneurs, podcast entrepreneurs. You know, there are so many resources apart from textbook. There are so many resources that I believe should be our instructional resource in the classroom today, because we want to connect our learners with today's world, because we want to help them to even understand the world that they are dealing with, right? It can be done. They can be learning math and still be experiencing that, right? Because one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to raise kids that we know mathematics, but they don't know their society. They know English, they know science, but they don't know their society, right? That would be a very, very cracky foundation, right? So I'm going to stop right here. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Wow, Mr. Adebayo, I can listen to you hours into hours into hours. Before I let you run away, I think I want first of all say thank you to you for creating time. I know your schedule are always very tight. And I'll quickly open up for questions. But before I open up for questions, I would like to ask, this has always been my question this time I get opportunity to see you. Because yes, the world has revolved and is still going to revolve and is still doing it at a very fast rate. But teachers, educators, we are the hem of their affairs. And the truth is, if we're going to get it right with our students, it starts with us. How? What can we do as educators? Because the truth is, even if we hear all these things, but we as teachers are not ready, these students will get nowhere. What can we do differently to ensure that every educator understands that the mind shift, the shift is now. It is no longer later. You already said it. We cannot afford a bunch of employees anymore. We need them to come out as employers of labor. And they can only do that if they themselves are problem solvers and creators of products or services. What can we do differently with educators?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's where the conversation is, right? And like I always like to say, you cannot nurture a problem solver if you're not a problem solver. You cannot nurture a creator if you're not a creator. Which is why, we talk a lot about design thinking, right? And exposing educators to design thinking. Because that's very important to get educators into that problem solving mode, right? Because you have to experience it. You have to experience it personally, right? And it starts, from simple things as look at your classroom, right? You've been teaching in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What are the problems that you have seen that have showed up again and again and again as you engage with kids, right? What are those problems, right? Can you note them down, right? Can you go a step further, right? And begin to brainstorm with people on how you can solve that problem, right? What are the challenges? You know what? This thing I've just said is the secret behind every innovation in the world today, right? Is the fact that somebody somewhere, right, sees a particular problem and the person thinks about it. How do I provide a solution to this problem, right? And then the person begins to brainstorm, right? There are so many problems around you that you can be the solution. Oftentimes, we're always waiting for external people. There's nobody that's coming to help us anyway, right? We have to sit down together, look at the problems. But this places a demand on you as an educator, right, to be very versatile, right? There's a lot I would love to say in answering that question. But internally, we can, because design thinking is about problem solving, right? It's the secret of every industry, right? And so in the education space, I hope to see that teachers are becoming design thinkers, right? You think about the challenges that you have experienced in your engagement, right? And you ask yourself, how do I create a solution? So when we do the design thinking academy, design thinking workshop, right? We've seen teachers solve, I'm sure you can relate as well. We've seen teachers provide solutions to different kind of things. There was one teacher said, I discovered that my students, they struggle to like focus, for a long period, right? I've discovered that whenever I'm teaching nouns, there's a way they are not getting it and all of that, right? And then the next thing we're asking ourselves questions, right? How do we create a learning experience, right, that can solve that problem? Now, if it was in the information era, you were limited because you don't even know what to do. With that question I just asked now, you don't have an answer. But in the intelligence age, you have an answer. And the answer is right beside you. And that answer is called AI. What is happening right now? So when you discuss with ChatGPT, right? And I like to say that we do, right? You need to understand the fact that generative AI is not just a tool, right? It's your tutor. It's something you should learn from. In case you don't know, right? Generative AI is a combination of the wisdom and the intelligence of the entire human race that has lived on the internet ever since it was started. So imagine you pack both humans that are dead and alive, all their wisdom, all their intelligence, you pack them together in one tool. Now call it GenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, and the likes, and that's what you are chatting with, right? That's to give you the confidence and the courage, right, to be able to ask big and bold questions, right? So in the information age, that kind of thing, you're helpless. You're like, I don't know what to do. Well, let me just. When the intelligence age, right? Everybody is intelligent. Everybody has access to intelligence, right? You cannot say I don't know. That statement is a taboo in the intelligence age. It's not allowed. You can't say the reason why I'm not doing this is because I don't know. You can't say that in intelligence age, right? So when we introduce teachers design thinking, right, we're helping them to understand the power of AI, and now it helps them in solving real problems in the classroom. How they can go to the design thinking phase, right, by engaging with these tools, right, and also building practical solutions to these problems, right. So you cannot say you don't. Again, this is probably about choice, right? We all of us on this call are going to make choices about education and about the education space. Whatever choice it is that we make, right? But then I hope that everyone on this call is embodying. Everyone on this call is responds positively to the call, right? Because this is not just about teaching and learning. This is about Africa. This is about national development. This is about continental development. This is about the future of Africa, right? I hope that you respond and you say yes to the demand it places on you, because I tell you, it's going to place a demand on you, right, to become somebody you have not become, right? Because there's a change that's going to happen to you, right? And I don't know if you want to become a new person. I don't know if you are ready to become somebody else, right? But it's going to place a demand on you, right? And it's all for the good.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Adebayo. Thank you very much. I know we really, really, really must have learned a lot of this. Anyone with any question before Mr. Adebayo finally leaves us? Any question? You can drop it in the chat, or you can signify by raising your hands. He will leave us in the next few minutes. But before he leaves, is there anyone with any further question? Mr. Adebayo also run a Design Thinking Academy. I'm so sure we will drop the link with me. I'll share it on the platform. I think most importantly is our mindset as teachers. You already said it, if you are not a problem solver, you cannot create one. And like you rightly said, all around us are a lot of problems. All we need to do is to identify them and provide solutions to them. If you can be one, then that means you can raise learners who can also be problem solvers. Are there questions in the house? Adebayo has another webinar to join and he may want to leave us very soon. So if you have any question, you can just signify, and if there is none, anyone with any question before I let Mr. Adebayo leave? All right, so I want to, okay, so if you have any further questions, you could still share with me on the platform. I can always, okay, yes, so Elo says, yes, she has a question. Can we quickly take her before Mr. Adebayo leaves? Please, Elo, unmute, please, and then quickly ask the question. Thank you. Elo, Faithful, please kindly unmute quickly before Mr. Adebayo leaves, please. You are still muted. Can you please unmute? Hello, Faithful, can you kindly unmute so you can ask your question before Mr. Adebayo leaves us? Okay, I don't know why she's not unmuting, but I'll take our questions on the platform and probably share it with you, Mr. Okay, he said, can you explain how I can relate my topic on fraction to can you explain how I can relate my topic on fraction to newspaper? I don't know if you get that, Mr. Adebayo.
Yeah, I think I have an idea of what the question is about. It's so now there are many ways to that, right? Amazingly, one of the things that is happening right now is that AI is helping us to close our knowledge gaps, right? And to also reduce our learning curve, right? Like I said, this is intelligence, and we all have access to intelligence, right? So somebody said, don't ask me a question you have not asked ChatGPT. I don't know if you get it,
yeah,
right? Yeah, but that's part of the implication of the intelligence age, right? Is that you get to understand the fact that you have access to intelligence at your fingertips, right? And the question is now about your curiosity, right? What questions are you asking? What questions are you curious? What questions are you asking? What questions are you asking? Right? So because people don't know how to use ChatGPT, right? Um, what we are seeing is that teachers' creativity is even reducing because their thinking time is reducing. They are just using ChatGPT to get things done fastly and all of that, right? They are not using it to think better. They are using it to work faster. It's two different things. You can use ChatGPT to work faster. What has happened is that what you usually do 2 hours, you do it in 5 minutes. That's amazing. What's happening to you? That's the question. What's happening to you? Right? So every time you use these tools, right, somebody is learning. It's either ChatGPT is one that is learning, right? Or both of you are actually even learning. Right? But you can use it in a way that it's only ChatGPT that is learning, and you are not learning. Because you only use it to get it done and get it done very quickly. Right? So it's working faster, but not thinking better. Right? I need to say this because it's part of the things we've observed in the space. The gas teachers and now we are using AI. The purpose of AI is to empower us to become more productive. And more productive here is not that you are able to do your things faster. No, is that personally your capacity is enlarged, right? Is that it boosts your creativity. These are other sectors are using AI. That's what they're using AI. Nollywood, that's what they're using AI. That is boosting your creativity, right? That's when you that is boosting your creativity, right? That when you ask questions, right, your questions are coming from very, very I don't know, but that what we're trying to say is the fact that we need to leverage AI to increase our capacity, our creative capacity, or because we're going to have many questions to ask, right? But then leveraging AI in this regard to get answers to this question is very important because we know that it is not just a tool for getting things done. That's not the purpose. That's not the purpose. It is called artificial intelligence, right? That's not the purpose. And if you understand that what it is basically is something that has learned from what humans have been doing for a very long time, and now we can now do it too. So you want to see it as a partner, as a collaborator, right? As a partner, as a collaborator, right? And you want to get the best out of what it has to offer, right? Which puts you in a place where you are growing, right? Because every time you use it that way, what you discover is that you are getting smarter, right? You are getting more insight, right? You are getting more ideas, right? Yeah, so that's what you think about it, right? So, like I said, this is welcome to the intelligent age, right? And part of our mantra is don't ask me a question you have not asked ChatGPT, right? I hope you get used to that.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Please let's appreciate Mr. Adebayo by dropping our different emojis to say thank you so much, Mr. Adebayo. We enjoyed your class. And trust me, I'm still going to bring you back. Oh, very sure. I'm still going to bring you back. Thank you so very much for taking out time to have this discussion with my colleagues here at CITAL. On behalf of Dr. Tony Sam Hemelu, I want to say thank you to you. Thank you for honoring our invitation. We look forward to having you again at CITAL. God bless you and enjoy the rest of your evening, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for taking out time to be here at this month's webinar. I hope we learned something. And one thing I usually say is this: when we learn, it's always important that we also implement. There's a place of learning, there's a place of implementation. I'm so sure you've gotten one or two things from Mr. Adebayo. We all have to be problem solvers for us to be able to nurture our learners to be problem solvers. For every topic or subject that you teach in the classroom, you must link it with reality. I must know why I'm actually learning something. Okay, not just to learn to pass tests or examination, but learning today is expected to transform our learners. On this note, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining. The discussions can still continue on the platform. I wish you all happy International Women's Day tomorrow. I think we should have some discussion on the platform about tomorrow's program. Thank you so much for attending. God bless you and see you again in the next webinar. Thank you.